My name is Rachel Summers.
My name is Brent Summers.
Our farm's name is Resilient Growers Farm.
We chose Resilient Growers Farm because we thought online presence was really important at the time, and we wanted a .com, domain name. We really like Resilient. When sustainable was everyone's talk, Rachel was on Resilient, and she loved that word because it's just taking it to the next level, right?
The ability to quickly adapt to a changing environment, economy, and culture. That's us.
We were all about resiliency, and we wanted resilient in the name. So resilientfarm.com was taken, and we just went down the list until we finally found Resilient Growers was available. So that's just what we landed on.
I didn't know I was going to be a farmer. If you asked me in college, I was going to be a zookeeper, and I ended up being a zookeeper for a while and realized that the salary wasn't enough to even maintain a decent lifestyle. So I quickly went back to school for environmental management in the industrial sector, and got a job doing wastewater treatment, chemical wastewater treatment with like a 3 million gallon system. So very different from farming. It's really cool. I love working with water. So in between that, I got into aquaponics, which was the water side. I found a job in Knoxville, Tennessee. It was a 12,000 square foot aquaponic greenhouse. Both Brent and I played a role in starting that up.
Well, it was a system that had been built and then abandoned, and a new owner brought us on to fix up the existing system, pretty much.
Get it going again. So they had no water in it for a while. From there, we found another job in New Jersey that was on a regenerative farm, and that's when we really started to get into the regenerative aspect of it, when we found out exactly what the difference between aquaponics and soil farming is. We brought some things back from it, yeah. So we have 10 acres here, and we're doing mainly vegetable farming with some livestock farming. The farms around us, to the east of us, is a 2,000 acre farm owned by one family. I think they're multi-generational. And then the ranch to the west of us is a 20,000 acre zinc ranch that has been around for a very long time. From what I understand, has a pretty good history. It's heavily involved with Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, and everybody does cattle. As far as vegetables go, I don't know of another vegetable farm for more than 10 to 15 minutes. So I've got a few friends that do vegetables, but there are a few grape vineyards, but starting to kind of dwindle a little bit with the changing summers here. I think the whole integrated system is what I value most. One thing I didn't realize would happen when I started farming was that I was going to play such a big role as being a part of it, not just I'm not controlling it in any way. I can guide it in the right direction, but that's the best I can do, and so just being a part of the evolution of the farm and how it just kind of runs on its own is the biggest part. Or the part I love the most about it too, actually. So the emotions you feel from it too every day. I never thought that I would have so many varying emotions in one day. And I think that's so critical for our mental. Well, it's a struggle sometimes, but it's actually good for our mental health to go through all of that all the time and not have autonomy, I guess.
You have to be so familiar with loss when you're farming, because you get livestock and things happen with livestock. You have crop failures. It's kind of a rude awakening, but you really appreciate every single day, and you're so familiar with loss and death, from your crop to your livestock. Being so close and so familiar with loss really makes you appreciate life in general. Take each day as a gift and appreciate every little thing that goes right for you.
So what is our dream farm is we're getting pretty closer than I thought we would be, honestly. In a year, it's due to just the help from our community and our family and friends. We have gotten so much more done than we thought we would get done in a year. I guess the best way to describe it is like our vegetables produce the money that kind of bring in the investments for the farm. So it's like the heart of the farm, but it's also critical that we have livestock and good pasture around it, because those are the organs that keep the vegetables going. Everything plays a role with each other, and it's all a web. So everything has to be very well put together and established. So that's my dream farm is just having everything established and functioning on its own. Whatever that may be. It's loose.
I would say that my dream farm, we're in year one, so it's a whole lot of just managing chaos.
Yes.
Or it's organizing our chaos, but it is pure chaos. So my dream farm is a little less chaotic, which it's so hard, because when you're not farming, when you're not trying to stay afloat and make money, you are doing projects to make the process easier all the time. You have to, first couple of years you have to be, because you're building up your system.
So we set our goals kind of very generally with a big, 10-year plan. Where do we want to be in 10 years? Then, 5 years, and then over the course of the season even, where do we want to be? And it constantly changes. It's so fluid. we have this end game. We know what that end game is, but we also have to be very adaptive to every decision we make, and we have to have the ability to change our minds a lot, even short-term things. I've found myself to be way more successful when I'm flexible about my decision making and just going with the changes.
Yeah, it's you have to be a little flexible in goal setting. I also think when you're setting goals, it's nice to have someone, like, as partners. She's very far-sighted and I'm kind of nearsighted when it comes to our vision and our goal setting. So she sees years out, and then with that direction I can see all the steps to get us there, all the things we need to do. So that's a really good dynamic to have with a partner. And I can't imagine doing something like this alone. So it's good to have a partner, and it's good to have a partner that complements. It's a recipe for success. Acquiring land was a journey, and it's always going to be difficult, I feel like, but certain things can compound that difficulty. When we first started looking for land, we put in a lot of offers.
I think seven.
We lost a lot of offers. When we were looking for land, we lost over a dozen properties that we really liked to cash offers. We were, at the time when we bought our land, we were scared to negotiate, because we were just thankful for the opportunity.
With the purchase of our land, the market was so hot in the middle of a pandemic. Nobody was negotiating. Some people were actually asking over offering price. So we decided we were just gonna go with what the asking price was, and because we had heard there was another offer, so we sent it. At the time, it was a good price. It was not too much above.
It had been such a journey.
A year and a half.
A year and a half, yeah. And like I said, we kept getting beat out by cash offers. It was the craziest thing, and we weren't even sure we were going to get this property. We for sure didn't feel like we had any leg to stand on with negotiation, which is probably how a lot of people feel. Real estate is, I don't feel like it's normalized yet, and it's still a tough game to play.
Part of this was in New Jersey too. We were not even in the state. Yeah.
We're out of state. We were looking to come back home to our home state and acquire land, and the real estate market was just so hot that we couldn't do it. So we ended up on a leased plot of land when we started our farm, and we had some really great people that leased us some backyard space, and they were really supportive, and that's kind of how we got our leg up and started building our brand. From there, we were farming and we were actively looking for land, and we still had issues. One of those issues was we just kept having cash offers beat us out. Location was really important to us, so we wanted to be nearby to our market, and we were becoming established in that market. We were becoming connected to that market. So we're looking about 20-ish minutes from where we were selling, and it was pretty hot. If you want to drive like 45 minutes to your farmer's market, you can find much more attractively priced land. But we were looking where we were looking, and we ended up finding some really good land, good soil, a section with really good topography for growing, and it wasn't selling yet because it had 2 easements on it. So we came out, we looked at it. It was, we really had to bushwhack when we were coming out here, and everything was as tall as us pretty much when we were surveying the land. But we saw what we liked.
We've been here exactly a year. This month it's August, so we actually closed on the property last July in 2021. We went through a 6-month contract before we actually signed. So we put the offer in on the property in March of 2021 during the pandemic.
And we closed in July.
Yeah, closed in July, yeah.
4 months. Yeah. Mm-hmm. About 4 months.
Oh, okay.
From landing the contract to close.
It felt
was
like
a long.
6.
It was 100 days to close, and that was another one of the hurdles that we jumped through in acquiring our land. Was there's a whole mess to do with, getting a USDA new farm ownership loan, and then it takes 100 days to close. So you have to convince a seller to wait 100 days to get paid for their property in a hot real estate market. So that was fun.
I wrote a business plan. I was trying to get private financing, and then I quickly learned, even though we had great credit scores, our credit reports were great. We both were employed at the time when we were in New Jersey. I still could not get a private loan from a bank to start the farm. I called, and I guess I could have gotten one with a crazy interest rate, but I wasn't gonna go that route. I couldn't get a credit line. Basically what I ended up doing, after I did write my business plan, I didn't really share it with anybody. We kind of just decided to do it ourselves with our own financing with 0% cards. Honestly, it was really scary for the first year, and I had a plan for how I was going to take care of that after when the 0% ran out. I was just hopeful, mostly. I was going to send it to USDA through the operating loan.
Then we had to deal with, we went and got a new farm ownership loan, but to acquire this loan we had to have a contract in hand. But also to acquire this loan we needed a rejection letter from a bank. But to acquire the contract for the land we needed pre-approval for financing. So there was this dichotomy that we needed something, and then we needed the opposite of that thing for everything to happen, and we were able to find a way to make it work. We were able to get pre-approval with a cosigner to secure the land contract, but then we proceeded with the sale with individually with our business that had a rejection letter from it was this big mix up, and it was overly complicated, but in the end the USDA really helped us out. We got a great loan with them, and we got started growing. We got out here and we got down to business.
Yeah, the officer I was working with for this county with USDA was very helpful. If I had not been working with her, it wouldn't have even made it that far. And it was 33 documents total that I had to do to get the contract.
Another reason we got the land was pure chance. We jumped through all these hoops to be able to put an offer in on the land to secure a contract, and the seller was still hesitant. He's actually one of our neighbors. He lives on the other side of 10 acres next to us, and we put our offer in, and he wasn't so sure about us.
No, I wrote a love letter. Okay, so my realtor he's a really cool guy. He also believes in what we're doing. He heard my story, and he called me one day. I think he was feeling some hesitancy from the seller, and he said, "You need to write a love letter." And I said, "Okay, sure." So I basically just wrote in this letter what my plans were on the land, and surely the marketability in your neighborhood's going to go up if you have an organic vegetable farm nearby. So yeah, I pretty much just said exactly what I was planning on doing, which was building the soil on the land and turning it into this really great, diverse environment that was going to stay protected by us. We're going to raise our kids here. We're going to live here for as long as we possibly can. So
what she summed up in her letter is this is going to be, we're going to leave this land better than when we found it. She wrote a love letter, and he read the letter, and then it just so happened that the farmers market sent the local news out to talk to us
at our leased farm
the day before on our leased plot, and the seller saw us talking on the news about farming and selling at the farmers market, and he made the connection and said, "Okay, I need to sell these people this property." So
yep.
It was pure coincidence. We barely got our land contract, but a lot of things had to be in line, and it just happened. Yeah.
And it turns out this property is amazing. So we have zero regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it was untouched, it had cattle on it at one point, but it has had nothing going on. It was raw land, nothing built, no prior anything. So it was prime for us. We're very happy. So we had a house, and we were kind of doing a bit of soul searching. Maybe it's a quarter life crisis. I don't know, but we did the camper van thing. So we actually worked on farms. We were in a camper van, and then we had a motorhome. And the motorhome, we thought we were.
Oh yeah.
We were classy. Yeah. Yeah. So we did that, and that we became really comfortable with living very minimal, not having a whole lot. Everything you have is stored away in a small space or in boxes. But we also became very familiar with the time investment on a farm. So when we lived on those farms, it was basically all we did. So we knew that when we started a farm, we were going to be here, and especially in the beginning, you just have to be there. You cannot commute to it. It is so important to be so connected with the land, because as you build up your infrastructure and everything, you're going to be fighting it for the first couple of years, and things are going to go wrong, and you're going to need to water at all hours of the day, and you'll do yourself a favor if you get out there from the beginning. So we recognize this, and for that reason we bought a travel trailer, because we looked at all sorts of options. Travel trailers seem to be the best option, the most comfortable option for a monthly payment that we could deal with. So we moved the travel trailer out here before we had electric, before we had water, before we had anything out here, because we knew that we needed to be present to make the farm successful. So that was priority number one, was getting ourselves out here on the land, and then take off from there.
We had found multiple properties with housing on it that would have been ideal to have a shop with a house on it, but those were flying. We could not put in an offer quick enough for those.
And when you look at property, when you look at farmable land with a house on it, the house introduces another level of complexity with the loan process, because the USDA will pay for the land, but it's a separate valuation on the house, and you have to figure out a way to make up the difference. And then I can't imagine the kind of hoops you'd have to go through, because we're not buying a house outright either. So the kind of hoops you'd have to go through to finance the land with the USDA and finance the house with a private lender, and each has different requirements on the loan, so it might not even be possible.
We didn't even look into it.
We didn't even look into it, no. Yeah, so we pretty much resorted to we're gonna build eventually, but honestly, travel trailers or a fifth wheel, if you can afford it, are a really great option.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
But when we moved into the van from a house in Midtown Tulsa, we got rid of 90% of our stuff.
Well, and then we started a farm, and there's a bunch more stuff that we need.
So
we need new stuff. Yeah, we had the wrong stuff. We needed different stuff.
In January, we did have about 400 plant starts in the RV.
We had a real infrastructure problem when we had at one point we had chicks in the RV. Yep. And a brooder. We had a bunch of plant starts. We were using our travel an egg-bound chicken in there.
2 dogs.
A couple dogs. When it got really cold, we'd bring the dogs in. And we put a space heater in our Honda Element, and we germinated trays in there. We used everything we had.
So, is it possible to start a farm without any infrastructure? Yes. Is it super uncomfortable? Yes.
You find a lot of creative ways to, you have to be really creative, and you have to bootstrap initially. We made a nice flyer, and we sent out to all of our neighbors, because that's really, we want to feed the people around us. That was one of her visions, is a truly local food system.
Closed loop cycle.
People got those flyers, and we sell to nearly our whole street. It's amazing. We have some great people around us, down the street, around the corner. We've collected some really awesome people out here, and I'm glad to be at the hub of it. I don't know if I would know half of these people if we weren't doing what we're doing.
What's funny is just all the things we do. We meet people through just talking about what we do, but some of our neighbors on the next street, it's equestrian farms and other farms. There's 3 neighbors that know me as the shit lady because I pick up their manure. And we've had a lot of great conversations. So I don't know, I just feel like the farm, it just kind of brings the conversation.
We really try to engage people, we talk about like our image at the market. We use Instagram a lot, so we try to be very open about all of our daily activities and how we grow. People really appreciate being involved in the process, so we try to be really open about the process and share as much as we can. Also at the market, we try to be very engaging with people. We're always standing up. We're always greeting people. We're always we'll take the time to talk with people about their gardens and give them advice if we can, or just generally. I think people appreciate the conversation. I think a lot of people are looking for that. So that's who we are at the market.
So since the beginning, the team that has made this actually happen, we're kind of the operators of it, but really it's been a huge amount of people, really. So from the beginning, the organic garden center that leased the acre behind to us, that got us here. And, you know, our realtor, he helped us. We went through a couple of realtors because I don't think farming is really a big part of the realtor world. But this one in particular was from Skiatook and had lived on a decent amount of land and kind of understood at least a little bit better. And then also there has been an enormous amount of support from the Tulsa Farmers Market. That's where we actually started selling our produce. And then there's also this really awesome group called Fresh RX that started in Tulsa, and the person in charge of that has been so good at marketing for us and just working with NRCS to get funding for us. If she hadn't have known somebody in NRCS, then we were actually going to get denied our Equip High Tunnel. And she, and she explained to them, no, this is a farm, they need this tunnel, and we were approved. I mean, it was amazing how many people have played a role in even just equipment on our farm.
There's a lot to be said about networking. You find groups and you find people that share an interest or a passion, and then you just keep building on that. So we have a community of growers that we collaborate and we talk and we build off each other's successes and failures, and you just keep building off relationships. We would not be where we are at today if we didn't have some of the amazing people around us. We've had incredible support from our family, from our friends, from the market. You know, we tried to be very open and honest about our growing practices and our vision, and people were behind it. To this day, we have customers that were at our table from the very first market, and it's amazing. We love our market community, and they've really taken care of us too.
I can't. Watery?
Yeah, they are. I'm really grateful for everyone we've had around us, and I can't imagine going to a place with a saturated farmers market though, and trying to start it. It's you have so many challenges. The first couple of years, we had people that just loved our produce full of holes. You know,
this is beautiful. It's a tiny little head of lettuce.
And they were
like chocolate cake.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the same customers every weekend. It is the dedicated market goers that we see. We see the same people every weekend. I saw a statistic the other day that when you go to the market versus the grocery store, you'll interact with like 2 people at the grocery store versus the market is like 11 people. So you just start talking to people with similar interests, and then it just kind of goes. It's a natural flow.
And it's so important to make, you know, real connections with people, and you'll find a lot of people that share your passions, and maybe they can help you in ways, maybe you can help them in ways. But if you keep giving, you're going to get something back. I can't talk highly enough about some of the people that surround us and the support that we've had. and I hope to pass on as much of that as we can. We're not in a great spot to do it right now because we're just trying to stay afloat, but we're working our butts off, and this thing is gonna be a huge success, and there's no way it can fail with the people around us and the community around us.